discussion on the pros and cons of those. So the next thing we have is the concepts of pre-exhaustion and post-exhaustion, and for strength versus mass. So these can probably all be, like, in my mind, and the way I talk about stuff, each of these could be like an hour-long thing. So we're going to try to, I'm going to try to limit myself. But common examples of pre-exhaust for strength would be is what I'm doing with my squat. So if I know my hip is weak, I want to attack it more than everything else to get it to catch up. So I actually pre-exhaust it a little bit, so I don't take it to absolute maximal failure before I squat, because then I can't squat anything. So I want to, if I come in here saying my hip has 100%, or has 100 units of strength to use that day, what I want to do is I want to use just say 10-20% of my hip to make it more sensitized as I would go into the squats. And then all of a sudden my body will feel the hips being the weaker thing. It'll focus more of its like adaptation and stuff into the hip. Right. So I'm kind of like telling my body what I want it to focus on. And you can even look at pre-exhaustion as not even taking away units of strength. So if I have 100 units and I just do some, I mean I can even do body weight based single leg stiff legs, deadlifts, where I'm just bending on one leg, I'm reaching down to the ground and bouncing back up. That's not going to take any strength, but it is going to get those muscles firing. It's going to get the body paying attention to the area. So you might use pre-exhaust as a sense of telling your body what to focus on in major movements. So if I do bench press and I want to make sure my chest is the main focus, if I do some chest flies and I get a chest pump and I kind of wake my chest up, and then I do bench pressing, I'm going to feel my chest more during those movements. Yeah. So that's one method of pre-exhaust. Is you can tell your, like you can kind of make your body more hypersensitive to which part of a major movement you want to work on. And then as you train that major movement, that part gets a little extra focus. Over time it gets a little better. Right. So that's kind of one thing. And you can even consider that for both strength or mass.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say that, you know, for example, for the past 6 months I feel like I've lagged in my quads. And my starting movement, what the leg day was, would be a squat. And I'm a strong squatter. But it would take so much energy from me that by the, you know, after I was done with my 4 or 5 sets of squats, it was hard for me to do any isolation quadricep work. So now I'm, you know, I back off and I say, well, how can I accumulate volume in my quads without taking those units of strength away to continue accumulating volume? So now I do leg extensions, 3 or 4 sets, and then I go into squats. And what I'm noticing is my strength's still there afterwards, but I have accumulated volume in the quads to push myself further. So
that's what I was worried about. You're taking your strength away from doing your best in nature.
Now don't get me wrong, I'm never doing 1 rep maxes, so they probably are hindered slightly after doing a lot of leg extensions. But
yeah, like a 1 rep max might be hindered, but a 10 rep max.
When I'm doing
So for bodybuilding, the pre-exhaustion is less of a concern because strength isn't a concern.
Yeah.
Now, I have seen, like for me, is like if I do a pre-exhaust on my hip before I squat, if I can normally squat, say 500, I might only get 475.
Right.
But that's 5% of my total. That's not significant enough that I won't get the strength effect from the training.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I would normally train at say 100% is my goal, and I can only get 97.5% a day, that's not significant enough that I'm not going to get the benefit. Like I'm still going to get the strength effect. So if I lose 5 to 10 pounds on a lift by pre-exhaustion, I'm still getting a net gain from what the pre-exhaustion is giving me.
So say in the long run,
in the long run,
better off.
Because once that weakness is no longer weakness, then you get rid of that pre-exhaustion. Holy hell, you're going to feel like Superman because you've been used to lifting that major lift pre-exhausted. Now you're going to come in and crush it. So I might have been in a 500-pound squat. I'm now training at 475, but I work my pre-exhaust at 475 back up to 500. Then I take away the pre-exhaust, all of a sudden I'm at 525. So it's like you have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. Yeah. So some people will call it like a ladder effect or ladder style training, but it's that concept of where sometimes overextending yourself and then meeting that demand. So taking time to come up to that extension, and then all of a sudden you'll realize like you said, you slingshot past that. So so losing some strength is a concern. And I have absolutely done that. Like I've overdone pre-exhaustion before, and then like crushed myself. And then I learned from that and said, okay, well, 5 sets to failure of dips before pressing, probably pretty stupid. so it's just like a live and learn.
Yeah,
So
there's a difference between pre-exhausting and just exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's, you know, so.
hence the word pre.
Yeah, so you wanna hit it just enough, stimulate it, but don't overdo it.
Yeah, and then the term like post-exhaustion, I'm not really sure that would be an actual like thing as much as it is like if I do squats, I do my quads a week, I'm going to do
Yeah.
leg extensions after my squats.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to come after the major lift to work on the individual specific. So, and that might be something where like what I'm doing with my hips is I'm doing some hip stuff, I'm squatting, and then making sure my hips are maximally dead at the end. So if I did some hip stuff, I did my squats, and I'm like, I'm pretty beat up, but I feel like I could do a couple more sets of just hip stuff. Then I'll catch a couple more to make sure that that day was fully exhausted.
Right.
Yeah, so that would be the idea of like post-exhaustion, or when you would do your weak point training afterwards, is just if it's still needed. So if you did a little pre-exhaust, you did your major lift, and you're not all the way worn out, then you catch it. And that's part of like knowing how much pre-exhaust is enough. If you get it wrong, like if you underdo it, you just catch up more at the end.
Right.
That's it. So that's all post-exhaustion would be, is just catching up when you get a chance. So,
Acute overreaching.
yeah.
Just trying to finish it off.
Yeah, so, and that's kind of the idea. So, cool. So that's kind of that. And then the next part I want to talk about is business. And